And on to the final race of the day. This is the People's Champ Handicap going 9 furlongs for top class horses. In this field, we can find Gold Cup runner-up Smoking Tea, who has been long awaited by the fans as for a return.
No, yeah, I
Rashaun,
am. I'm one of
your
those.
thoughts?
Yeah, I'm one of those fans waiting to see what Smoking T's gonna do now that he's stationed in Barbados. I think many people would regard him, especially with the absence of Renaissance Frolic, as potentially the best horse in Barbados. So him making a return is going to be highly anticipated. You saw him finish second in the Gold Cup. Um, I am gonna go a different direction, but I 100% respect this horse.
I see that you are opposed to him. You've picked Zaid over him. Is this because of the weight? Do you think 132 going 9 furlongs is a bit too much for him?
So I don't think that 132 going 9 for Smoking Tea is a bit much. I think that the 122 going 9 for Zaid is enough to get him over the edge. Smoking Tea is a horse that is of a pretty high caliber as he showed in the Gold Cup. I think Zaid is also there, especially locally. He's our spot sprint winner from last year. I think with the 122 pounds, you saw last time at a 5.5, Zaid was able to get a similar setup, like a Gay Smith horse with top weight, where he got a handicap weight and beat them. I think stepping up to 9 furlongs, he's here in a similar situation where he is versus a Gay Smith horse that has top weight, and he gets a weight break too. And honestly, what's the big part for me in picking Zaid? That's going to be interesting. He's drawn inside of Smoking Tea. And who is the speed in this race? Because from 1 through 5, who's fast? It's like someone has to be faster, has to be the fastest. But who is that? So I think like hopefully that could be Zaid, because if it is Zaid, a horse like this being on the front end would be very, very hard to beat.
Okay. So the way I handicap this race, I was looking at Zaid and Brilliant News as they have never won going 9 furlongs. And
No,
I
so
I don't see it happening against Gold Cup runner-up Smoky T, who has been against far better fields. As he came from Gulfstream, he's ran numerous times overseas against graded winners. I think this is maybe a step down in class for him, but the weight is the big question mark. As I look at the Goddess Nike, with her 110 pounds, I do think her best option is to route this field. But as I've seen, does she have the toes for it?
yeah, I think like again, very valid concerns, and the big thing you mentioned for me, which is why obviously in a small field like this, Zaid is still a risk. He's never won at this trip. He's never shown this is where he's best, and it's not even been the mile. I think his sprint races, anyone can argue, have been his best races, but sometimes it just takes one time to do something, and if you want to go against a horse that's probably going to be 1 to 4, this is the next best option. I agree with the Goddess Nike. I think with Ricky Walker on board and 110 pounds drawn on the inside, my first instinct is to be like, okay, she's gonna win this race
Just
by wiring
go.
this race, right?
Just go.
But I don't think she's capable of doing that in the Gold Cup. Like, I don't think Smoking Tea's the fastest, but he was ahead of her early. Again, she's kind of
Yeah.
settled in since then and turned into a lot better form, a lot better of a horse. But that doesn't change the fact if she's faster early. So I think Zaid is the likeliest horse to head Smoking Tea, even though I wouldn't be surprised if Smoking Tea shockingly leads the race. But I think there's going to be a lot of games to play, even with just a 4 horse field, because of how small and how much of a dearth of early speed in these horses there is.
Maybe that's everyone's initial idea. Just go. The field is so small, and you're probably going to have 2 to 3 lengths in between every horse. Everyone may
Right.
have the same idea. Go. That's the best idea.
Yeah.
A Goddess Nike, I think, with 110 pounds, getting at least 10 pounds from everyone else. Bar Brilliant News.
Yeah.
Her best option is to go Smoking Tea. I do question the 132 pounds, but I think he's good enough to take it. I think he's good enough to wear this field. I think he's good enough to dismiss everyone. I think that's the horse to beat tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think that's the
Yeah.
horse to beat Saturday.
Yeah, I think that he's a horse to beat as well. I'm just going to take a little bit of a shot with Zaid, but good luck to them all. Hopefully they come back safe. And yeah, Zaid for me in the People's Champ.